Coming up, when Mike Gordon opened Chilkoot Charlie's, he ruled as king of nightlife in Spenard.
It was in the aftermath of the pipeline years, and I was still doing cocaine. I needed to do something to break out of the cycle that I was in.
How he discovered Denali and a new kind of high. Also ahead,
Denali, 2019.
What drove two brothers from Nome to tackle Denali twice, how they turned failure into success. One of many lessons from the mountain.
Alaska, where there are old triumphs, but also new frontiers, with challenges as great as the state itself, but a belief that the best is yet to come, bringing you the faces, the places, and the spirit of the last frontier. This is Frontiers with Rhonda McBride.
Welcome to Frontiers. I'm John Thompson, in for Rhonda McBride. Now, there are many reasons why people are drawn to scale Denali. At more than 20,000 feet above sea level, it is the tallest mountain in North America. And for one man, it was a journey of healing and redemption, a journey that began in Spenard.
Life has its peaks and valleys. But in the public eye, Mike Gordon was a businessman always on top.
For decades, every time I opened up more space, it filled up right away, so, you know, gotta have more.
Gotta have more. The mantra for the last frontier in the 70s. When the oil business boomed and fueled rapid growth, Gordon turned into the king of Anchorage nightlife when he opened Chilkoot Charlie's in Spenard.
The bar ended right about here. And when White Keys played here originally, his band was right there.
It was a time of living large, over the top. Great for business, but it took a toll on Mike Gordon's personal life. From disagreements with business partners to marriage trouble with his second wife, Gordon needed an escape.
I'd have probably had a nervous breakdown if I hadn't done what I did. One of my bartenders and I took the money from the bar, drove down the Alcan in the middle of the night. I was intent upon becoming a dive shop operator in Belize.
Belize didn't work out, but it whetted his appetite for adventure. But a few years later, Gordon and his third wife, Shelley, began to grow apart.
It was in the aftermath of the pipeline years, and I was still doing cocaine. My priorities were upside down.
A time of reflection. He went to counseling with Shelley and confronted demons rooted in his childhood anger over an alcoholic dad.
I needed to do something to break out of the cycle that I was in.
So at the age of 46 and with no experience, Gordon set his sights on summiting Denali.
All my friends told me I was crazy and I was going to kill myself. I've come to the conclusion that when everybody tells me I'm crazy and I'm going to kill myself, or I can't possibly, do whatever it is that I think I'm going to do, that I must be on the right track.
But to conquer Denali is to give the mountain its due.
My feet were colder than hell. I had frostbite on my face, my cheek, and my nose. When I got back to Anchorage, it looked like somebody hit me with a baseball bat.
Yet Gordon emerged from his icy hell hooked on climbing. He'd go on to summit 3 of the world's 7 summits in only 6 months. True therapy to drive away his demons.
So a lot of people would say, well, one expensive habit that could be dangerous for you, another expensive habit.
Yeah,
a little dangerous.
I tell people that I started climbing to save my marriage, and I quit climbing to keep it. Because addictive personality like mine, all of a sudden I'm addicted to high altitude adventures and traveling around the world.
From Tibet to the USSR and many points in between, Mike Gordon would summit the tallest peaks on each continent except for Asia.
Missing Everest by 1,500 feet, that bothered me for a long time. But at this point, I think that it probably taught me more than if I'd made it.
But out of failure, Gordon found success. Today, he and Shelley are still married and live in beautiful Halibut Cove. He also released a memoir titled Learning the Ropes, with more stories to come. Lessons learned from the mountain.
I remember being on the summit of Denali and feeling like I was outside myself. Is this really me? You know, if so, wow.
Mike Gordon's book, Learning the Ropes, can be found in bookstores all over Anchorage. He says he is already working on a sequel. Well, this summer, the National Park Service counted more than 1,200 registered climbers, and two brothers from Nome led the pack, Oliver and Wilson Hoogendorn.
Denali, 2019. Happy birthday, Mama.
Happy birthday, Mama.
What the Hoogendorns endured to be the first to summit Denali this summer when we come back. Well, for those with Denali dreams, preparation cannot be taken lightly. So how did two guys from Nome with no big mountains in their backyard prepare to summit Denali? Well, joining us now, Oliver and Wilson Hoogendorn, the first to summit Denali this year. Gentlemen, such an honor to have you here. How are we doing this summer?
Thank you. Pretty good.
It's a pretty good summer so far.
I would say so. You kicked it off right. Just what, a couple days out of high school, or out of school, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then we just got right up it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right after school, we drove out there.
Seemed like the
climbed
right
it.
time, yeah.
All right, I said high school. So tell the folks at home, Wilson, how old are you?
I'm 20.
20 years old.
Yep.
I just turned 22 in July.
Just turned 22, Oliver. So 22 in July. So you were 21 when you summited here. 20 years old. It's pretty incredible. How did you guys get into this, especially coming from Nome, flat land, right?
We had a cross-country coach growing up in high school, and his name was Jeff Collins. And he invited us on this run outside of Nome. And we were kind of in the mountains and thinking about what it might be like in the wintertime. Yeah. And so we got into skiing and eventually made it back into the mountains during the wintertime, and it kind of went from there.
Yeah. And, you know, what do you think, Wilson? Now, was it a quick, you just get out there once and you fell in love with it, and you always want to be on a mountain, hiking, doing something like that?
Pretty much.
Yeah?
If it's steep, I love it.
Well, let's start talking about the prep. So it started cross-country running. You got a little taste of the outdoors, a little bit of taste for adventure, and then you said, we're going to summit Denali someday. When was that first conversation when you said, well, let's take on the largest mountain in North America?
I was scrolling through Instagram one day, and I followed this pro skier, Cody Thompson, and it was a picture of him skiing off the summit of Denali, and I sent it to Oliver.
Yeah.
It's like, we could do that.
And I kind of laughed at first, but he started to do more research and tell me more about it. And eventually it was like, yeah, okay, we can do
dude,
this.
it's only like $2,000.
Yeah.
That is another thing I think that will shock a lot of folks. You put this trip together, $2,000. Some people $15,000 at the minimum to do something like this. How did you do it on the cheap?
We didn't have enough money to have a guide, so we just did it by ourselves. Just like Denali on a budget.
So that was the big chunk of it.
What?
And then from backcountry skiing, we already had a lot of like the avalanche gear that you might need. So the main things we had to buy were like a sleeping bag and a tent. Those were the two big purchases.
This was like $1,000 tent.
Okay.
$900 sleeping bag.
How are you doing this without a guide?
Our first year we did it with another guy who had already gone up or almost made it to the summit, so he already had some experience on the mountain.
Okay. I guess that's the other thing we should tell folks. This was not your first time summiting Denali. How old were you when you first summited?
We tried to summit the year before, this last spring.
Yeah.
But we only made it to about 16,000 feet.
Oh, so you did not summit the first time that you attempted Denali?
Yeah, so this last time going up, it was kind of, we felt like we knew what we were doing, but then we got to that point where we hadn't been past, and it was like, whoa, now we're in it. Yeah,
by ourselves.
Yeah. Well, talk about what you're thinking as you're flying out. Now, you're flying out to base camp in this video here. This is a video you gentlemen took.
Oh, yeah. This is landing at base camp. This is where you start to walk.
I was like, how many people are going to be there? Because the year before, there were a lot of people, but then we rolled up right here. I was like, what? There's like nobody here.
Yeah. I remember my stomach kind of sunk a little bit.
I was like, oh no, what are we going to follow? What trail are we going to follow?
There's some video of you guys trying to eat up here in Denali. Let's take a look at this.
Which one is it?
Yeah, getting pretty skinny up here on Denali. Getting a little bit of buns on my face. Some long hair. My thumb. My thumb's got up.
19 pounds, did you say you guys had lost at this point? You were showing off your stomach there. That's because you were seeing bones.
That was a little bit skinny.
Yeah. Now, so how do you have the energy and why did you lose 19 pounds?
I think it was just because you kind of don't get that hungry up there.
Yeah, okay.
Because you're at elevation, you lose your appetite, kind of.
Don't want to eat, you don't want to drink.
You have to force yourself to eat, but it makes you feel a lot better.
You got to get those nutrients.
Yeah.
All right.
Eat and sleep.
Well, here's another video kind of showing, I think, some of the trials and tribulations that you guys faced as you were ascending.
Oh.
Yeah, what's going on here? Tell us where you're at.
We're headed up to 17,000 camp. This is on the ridge. This is the hardest day for me.
This was where we had never been the previous year, and it was like a little bit worse than what we had expected. We thought 17 camp would be a lot sooner than it was, and it took us 10 hours to hike that because we were breaking trail.
Yeah.
And it took normal people like 4 hours.
And how long did it take?
10 hours. We started at 1 a.m.
All right, so you're forcing yourself to eat. You're forcing yourself to drink water. How's the sleep? Are you getting good sleep out there?
Man, it was hard sleeping a couple times, especially at 17,000.
Yeah.
Bad, because you get up there and your ears are ringing and you just feel out of it because there's no oxygen.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like the more you go up, the harder it is to sleep. Like by the time we got to 17,000, it was more just rolling around with your eyes closed.
Well, let's take a look at one of the videos you guys filmed from up there.
We just hiked up to 17 from 14. Took us 10 hours. We started at 1 a.m. We thought, why not? We're awake. Took us like 5 hours to get up the head wall, and then another 5 hours to get past all the squiggly rocks and stuff.
Wow. So how much sleep were you operating on right there? Nothing.
Nothing.
The previous days.
That's incredible, because at 1 a.m. you started. You ended up going, it took a lot longer to get to 17 than you had thought. And you got to be exhausted. And then how far do you have to go at this point?
Well, it was
About
funny.
3,000 more feet, couple miles.
Couple more miles.
miles, yeah.
And then a couple miles.
We didn't know that beforehand. It was funny. We knew the elevation game we had to go, but where the summit exactly was, it was kind of up in the air.
Okay.
So we thought we could see it, and then we got there, and it was like the summit was still way up there.
I
Yeah.
was like, we're almost there, man. And then we got up to right past 18, and I see a taller little hump out in the distance, probably a mile away. I was like, oh no, because I already had frozen water in my backpack, no food left.
That is a great place to take a break, okay? That is what we call a tease here, gentlemen, in the business. We have Wilson and Oliver Hoogendorn. Thank you very much for being here. When we come back, we'll talk about that ascent all the way to the top. All right, we are back with Oliver and Wilson Hoogendorn, the first climbers to summit Denali this year. And gentlemen, we talked about that false sense of hope as you get closer and closer, and you see what you think might be the peak, and you think we're there, we're within reach, and it turns out no. No.
Not even close.
Not even close.
Mountain said, psych.
Now, do you have to get these feelings like, are we going to make it at any point? Did you have any feelings of doubt as you're getting closer?
So many times. Oliver was mostly the one that wanted to keep pushing, because a couple times I was like, just turn around.
Yeah.
But there's a section just above 17 camp called the Autobahn, and that's where a lot of people die. I think, like they say, 22 people have died there.
Wow.
And so once we got past that, above all the crevasses, and we could kind of see the football fields going up to the summit, that's when I started to feel more reassured about ourselves.
We got more sense of distance versus like elevation.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it wasn't as cold as we thought it would be. So.
Yeah, so what did it feel like there as you're getting above 17 and you see I like how you described that, football fields.
Because right at 17 camp, you can see the Autobahn, and you could see the old trail from last year.
Barely.
So you're looking at it for the whole time you're at 17. And then we started climbing it, and it felt way bigger.
Yeah.
And at one point during that, I had to take my boots off, and I stuck them in Oliver's belly because my feet were getting too cold. Because it was like 5 a.m.
Sure.
in the morning.
Yeah.
Like the coldest time of the night.
Well, we were talking about how you keep your food thawed, you know, the water, things like that. I've seen the old football trick. You shove your hands in your pants if it gets cold out. And is that what you're doing under the armpit, in the pants?
All the time.
Anything you can do.
Yeah. It's like any warm spot you can think of. It's like,
all right,
got to keep your extremities warm. Because once you feel your feet and hands start to go, like, it takes a toll on your mind too.
Yeah. Tools. What am I going to do? Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, it's mental. Well, let's take a look at dinner. Let's see what dinner looked like for you boys.
Celebrating al dente.
Now, what was it? Was that ramen there?
That was top ramen.
Top ramen.
The best decision we ever made.
Salty goodness.
Salty goodness. Because in those mountain houses, they don't put any salt. And so that's all you want afterwards. It's like, I need some like salty fats in my body.
Was it tough to get that fire started for the propane tank there? Or not tough to keep it lit, I guess, no?
It
was pretty easy.
Okay.
Yeah, if it was windy and snowy out, it was kind of tough trying to keep the pump, that little plastic pump, ice-free because we only brought one stove.
One stove, dude. Or one of those that could boil water.
Yeah.
I was like, Oliver, don't break that stove, because if you break the stove, it's over.
He's always on me about the stove. Keep it snow-free.
Yeah, don't get snow on that.
Well, a lot of this is preparation. I think we have a clip here of you guys inside the tent.
Monday the 6th. No? Yeah, Monday the 6th. Supposed to be like this Tuesday and Wednesday.
Well, 9,000.
Bad right there, yeah.
Yeah. And now, how many days were you in that? Now, look at this. What are you guys, thinking right here?
That was bad. Holy cow,
even,
that's the worst storm I've ever been in.
And where are you?
That was 9,300 feet on the Kahiltna Glacier.
We got buried. It's kind of a little bit scary.
This, to me, would be one of the scarier moments when you're hunkered down for 4 days in conditions like this. Every so often, you got to go out of the tent. And by the way, folks, this is why you pay $1,000 for a tent, right? It's legitimate. And then, and then you get out. You have to dig yourself out every few hours.
And then you go back in and warm up in the tent. Then you get soaked, and then you have to go back out again when you're soaked and dig it out some more.
Okay.
And so if the sun's not out, everything's getting wet, and it's bad.
I think we got some more video from that experience there.
Been in this little space for about 4 days. But now, you can see again. You can see for long ways.
4 days later.
4 days later.
And do you lose track of time? Like, you knew it was 4 days.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing? How are you keeping track? I mean, well, you have watches and things, I imagine. But
one day it felt like it was only 4 hours long, and then another felt like it was 2 days.
Sure.
Because it was just, we were trying to sleep as much as we could just to pass time.
Right, right. Let's see, we're ascending, we're getting a little closer. Talk about as you approach the summit, what those feelings are, how you are not only physically, but emotionally and mentally feeling.
Physically, we ran out of water because it froze in our backpack.
Really?
Yeah. In like the first 3 hours, and it took us like 19 hours that day or something.
As you're summiting?
Yeah.
Wow.
And all we had was like these little bars, so we were really kind of tired.
And then on top of that, the elevation, it's kind of hard to explain, but for me, it felt like my brain was almost like inside of an eggshell, and I was trying to think using this weird, like hindered brain. Trying to make decisions and find a trail.
So hindered, yeah.
Yeah, without being able to think very well. Yeah. That was probably the hardest part for me. And then you can't breathe, it's just all these elements.
That's incredible. Yeah, and I was going to say, you can't really rely on instinct because it's not like you do this every day.
Animals don't go up there.
So what do you, how much sleep did you get the night before? You said it took you, 19 hours to summit?
Well, because we had been at 17 camp for a day and a half already. Yeah. And that second day, we could see it start to clear up. We could see blue sky. And so I said, okay, let's try in the morning. But before we went to sleep, it got really clear out. And Wilson really wanted to sleep, but I was on edge. And so I think I slept maybe half an hour that night.
Poor Oliver.
I just kept looking outside the tent. We were looking weather on our inReach. Yeah. But it was exciting. I couldn't handle it.
It's hard to climb mountains, man.
Hey, I'll take your word for it. I will take your word for it. Before we get to the summit, I know you wanted to show us a little bit of a helicopter rescue that you guys had seen.
Yeah.
Could you tell us kind of where this is and explain what's happening here?
This was on Windy Corner, and it was really icy because it was so early in the season, and I guess there was a guy trying to snowboard around it.
Huh.
And people usually just walk it early in the season. And I guess he caught an edge and slid down, and right there's some crevasses. He fell into one, and he broke like 4 ribs. And they couldn't get any helicopters up there for a couple days, so we had to lay down there for, I think, 4 days or so.
No kidding. And how did he survive? I mean,
he happened to land on this little ledge, I guess, and they were able to set up a tent.
Yeah, the Rangers went and helped him out, gave him painkillers and stuff.
I know. I felt lucky that day.
This is incredible what you guys do, and what these adventurers. I mean, it is so dangerous, and you don't even worry about that. You know why? Because you see stuff like this. We got this wonderful video. Look at that. That's gotta.
It really helped growing up in Nome.
Yeah.
That was probably our biggest plus.
And
preparation.
Yeah, I was going to say, where is this right here? Is this?
This is at 14 Camp.
This is 14 Camp. Okay.
Like usually this whole area, like when we got back down from the summit, there was like maybe 150 people here.
Yeah, at least.
But when we were here, it was just us and the
that
Rangers.
Ranger tent in the distance right there.
So that was also shocking because we were excited to get to 14 because it was like, oh, there's
meet up with some homies.
Gonna be a party up there at 14 Camp.
Well, excited to 14. How about right here?
Oh,
how about this? Talk about this.
Best feeling.
That's the
on
top.
Earth.
Yep.
Everything is downhill in the whole
continent. Yeah.
Wow.
You are a person that is on ground taller than any other person in North America at that moment. I mean, well, seriously though, when you get up there, do you guys take a few minutes, or are you hugging each other? Are you taking pictures, or is it like, man, I just need a minute to think, or what happens at the top?
We sat there for maybe 15 minutes, just kind of awestruck that we actually did it.
We didn't take very many pictures, didn't talk much.
Oliver was kind of freaking out.
Because in the next valley over, there was like these 30,000-foot clouds.
He's like, let's get off this mountain.
Yeah. And then, you ski down?
Skied down. Wilson brought his fat skis to the top.
Well, that's incredible. When you're up at the top and you're thinking, man, we tried this, it didn't work, and we came back and we did it. That has to be just the best feeling, redemption. I get to finish the job.
Yeah, I think that's why we did it. Like the more I look back at it, I think that's why I did it. Yeah. Just to finish what we started, and really put a cap on that, you know, because it had been on my mind for 2 years by then, and it was just egging at me, like in classes in the back of my head, like, oh, you didn't do it, you didn't do it. Wow. And it was really tough to come back from that first trip and tell people, oh, we didn't summit. But when we went up, just me and Wilson, and to come back and say, yeah, we summited, oh, can't beat it.
You guys are fantastic. Congratulations. Not only their first summit, but they were the first to summit this year. That had to feel good.
Go Newbecks.
Oh, Newbecks. Very nice. And I'm sure you got a lot of adventures down the road.
We'll cook something up.
Cook something up. All right, we'll be in touch. Thank you very much,
Thanks,
gentlemen.
John.
Well, whether it's Denali or just life in general, we all have our mountains to climb, but we hope that this show gives you a little inspiration to help you chase your dreams. We appreciate you joining us, and Rhonda will be back next week.